Hi, I'm Ben. I'm here with Design Smoke in Thompson Square Park in the East Village in New York City. I'm sitting here with Michael Brown, founder and creative director of Lot71.
Hello.
Who does, and basically his specialty is environmental and spatial design, public space, private space, performing arts, fashion shows, environments, varying environments. Mm-hmm. And so we're here just to talk a little bit about what he does, and I suppose I'd ask you just to give a little bit of a background.
Sure.
You know, where you come from, what you do,
and why I do it.
And why you do it.
Yeah. I grew up in Philadelphia, and I went to school for art history and architecture. Mm-hmm. And one of my work study jobs was working in the theater department at Brown University, building scenery. And pretty soon after starting as an underclassman, I was pretty confident I would go into design. Mm-hmm. So after Brown, I got a graduate degree at Brandeis University to study set design and lighting design for theater and performing arts. A little bit of film and television, but mostly the performing arts. So I moved here in '97. I spent all of my summers working at summer stock theaters, the Williamstown Theater Festival, the Santa Fe Opera House in New Mexico.
Oh, great.
And my total goal was to work on Broadway, land a Broadway show. And so in '99, I landed my first Broadway show.
Which was?
The Price by Arthur Miller.
Oh, great.
James Naughton directed it. It ran for about a year.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was pretty great, being 26 and a half, 27 years old, having a Broadway show. It was fantastic. But yeah, I mean, I grad school onward for 5 or 6 years, the only thing I wanted to do was work in the theater. I'd never been an actor, but it was all about designing plays, designing musicals.
Cool.
So that's where it started.
So I mean, when you did the Arthur Miller play, had Lot71 been formed, or was
no? I was primarily a freelance set designer.
Okay.
Working in the United Scenic Artists Union, USA Local 829. Okay. Which is a brother to Actors Equity, a brother to the Painters Union, the Props Union. And that's primarily what my focus was. A bit tunnel vision, but I was starting out, and I assisted a little bit, but I was very lucky. I landed a lot of high-profile off-Broadway shows and a few Broadway shows, and kind of worked from there. And then that branched out into regional theaters, and I started traveling a lot for work. And
then what was and basically after these successes, and you actually kind of got established on your feet, knew what you were doing, had a vision.
Kind of where did Lot71 come from?
Sure.
Yeah, I think it came to a point in about 2003, 2004, 6 years into this stretch, I was feeling like the theater wasn't really satisfying me intellectually. The work I was afforded to get wasn't stimulating me anymore. So I started to look at other options of how to take my skill set and expand it to other industries. Mm-hmm. Not going to work for an architecture firm or not being hired by someone else, still doing my own thing. So I came up with this idea of Lot71.
Where's the name come from?
Well, that's essentially where it came from. I was thinking my skill set about designing physical spaces, designing stories, which is what set design for theater is. When you think about it, it's transferable to any industry. You're designing a narrative experience in a box, in a volume. Mm-hmm. And for me, a lot is an empty lot is a volume. It's a box. It's a space. And 71, 7 and 1, it makes 8, and 8's a lucky number, and it's got some other significances for me, and it has a nice ring to it. So that's where I got Lot71 out of.
Oh, very cool.
And was able to kind of in 05, 06, as I founded the company, launch it to 17 other industries.
Which, for example, the fashion industry.
Fashion industry.
That's another big. It was another big area for Lot71.
Yeah, it was kind of a leap from working in the theater and event production, leaping into the fashion world.
And taking creating temporary space as opposed to a more permanent space.
Right.
So, I mean, how long is a typical fashion show?
I mean,
15,
fashion shows are 10 or
minutes?
15 minutes long. And I've been lucky enough to work on productions where the budgets they give us are $250,000 for a 10-minute show.
10-minute show.
But, which is absurd in a way, but when you look at it in terms of it's a marketing budget, it's product placement, and it's advertising. And they're blowing an enormous amount of money for this one production, but the photographs of that show will sell product for 8 more months after that.
Yeah, of course.
So it brands the identity.